Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. It's a broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie Hughes on the other side of the glass producing today's show. Coming up this hour, we'll get to Charlie Sounds of the Day, brought to you by Prize Picks. That comes up at 3:40. He finds the top 3 clips from around the internet. And we play him. He plays them for me, and then I react to whatever he plays. I normally don't know. It's always a fun segment I look forward to every day. Coming up in the second segment at 3:20, we're going to talk about if you were the Brewers GM, what's your first move this offseason? We'll get into that coming up in the second segment. But right now, I want to get into talking about what is going on with the Wisconsin Badgers. I said prior to the season starting that this team was not going to be very good. I said less than 5 wins, I believe. Is that correct, Charlie? I said less than 5 wins.
That is what you said, yes.
Okay, less than 5 wins. So the fact that they suck is not a real big surprise to me. But as we stated last week on this show, there is a difference between being bad and not being competitive. They have not been competitive. They got blown out by the Iowa Hawkeyes. That was horrible. And King Barry Alvarez, was none too happy by it happening. Mind you, this is the same Barry Alvarez who a couple weeks earlier was blasting Badger fans for booing the Badgers. Then you get Ohio State this week. You're on your 3rd string quarterback still, and you lose more running backs. What are they playing with? Their 4th running back at one point in that game. Against probably the best team in the country in Ohio State, or if not the best, one of the best teams in the country. And in a weird way, they kind of kept it closer than I thought they would. But again, not competitive, right? They didn't lose 27-17. Nothing like that. They couldn't score. Their defense did the best they could, but eventually it busted free. Mark Tauscher's on the broadcast talking about it was second half. I'm outside cutting the grass, listening to it. Mark Tauscher's like, eventually, all these little holes where water's coming out, eventually it's going to bust. And then there's going to be a major issue. They were doing the best they could on defense to try and slow those guys down. So now everybody's like, hey, fire Luke Fickell. I said after the Iowa game, enough's enough. I was a fan of Luke Fickell when they hired him. I thought they could put him in the championship race. I thought he could put him in the playoffs. Super excited. Finding it hard to believe many people were more excited than I was at that point when they hired Fickell. Well, it hadn't worked out. Not only has it not worked out, they've progressively gotten worse every year since he's been here. His record has gotten worse every year since he's been here. People mad at Chris McIntosh. Why hasn't he been fired? Why is he still here? Well, got a big buyout. Now, that buyout goes down dramatically after this year, so you can wait till the season is over and then fire him and move on. But as we stated before the season was, they weren't going to be good. They weren't going to be a bowl team, and Fickell was not getting fired, and he would coach in 26. And in 26, he has to produce a bowl game and be somewhat in the competition for maybe a playoff spot. That's where he has to be in 26. Because there's no Oregon on the schedule. There's no Ohio State on the schedule. None of that. From a Big Ten perspective, it's about as easy as a schedule as you're going to get for the Badgers in 26 and 27. This is where you make your mark here and turn this program around that you've driven into the ground. How much of this is on Fickell? Quarterbacks can't stay healthy. He goes in the portal, they come in, they get hurt. He goes in the portal, they come in, they get hurt. He goes in the portal, they come in, they get hurt. It's been a record on repeat for 3 consecutive years. With all due respect to any coach out there, if I take your starting quarterback from you for 3 straight years and it's always a different guy, how much is your offense going to be that much better? Then you move on from Phil Longo. This isn't working. I agreed. It wasn't working. You went to Jeff Grimes, who was a year at Kansas. You can ask Charlie this. I wasn't a fan of this hire. But you go and you bring Jeff Grimes in. And guess what? It's gotten worse. You got worse than what you had with Longo. Over the weekend on Twitter, I put, next head coach must be somebody that can develop quarterbacks. Has to be. Absolutely must be a quarterback whisperer. If they are not a quarterback whisperer, I have no interest. None. See the Bears. That's what they did. They got Ben Johnson said, we think you can fix him because you made Jared Goff that much better. So now we want you to do that with Caleb Williams. They won 4 straight. I know, crappy teams. I don't care. Still 4 straight. Badgers would die at this point to win 4 straight against any kind of team, regardless of who it was.
They didn't beat Maryland. Maryland's not exactly a star-studded roster.
So again, so now here comes Chris McIntosh, right? Chris McIntosh puts out this letter. First of all, he starts it. And again, I like Chris McIntosh. I've known McIntosh for years. He used to come to our toy drive and all of that. So I'm not anti-McIntosh necessarily. I was honored to join my former Rose Bowl champion teammates and coaches on the field as the university community celebrated our collective success. My years as a student athlete at Wisconsin were among the best of my life. First of all, stop right there. Do you know how much that must have sucked for him? Do you have any idea how much that whole thing this weekend must have been horrible? Can you imagine how mad his teammates are at him for what's out there right now? Can you imagine how mad these guys are?
Yeah, that's probably going to be pretty embarrassing walking out there with those guys. Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised he didn't fake sick. I mean, I got the flu. I'm puking. I can't be there today. Sorry. I mean, because you knew.
He had double commitment to be there, though, so that'd be kind of hard not to.
You knew he was going to get roasted by these dudes, right? You knew that was going to happen. Now, let's move on. He talks about, we embrace and accept the response. I'm not reading all this, but we embrace and accept the responsibility of meeting the goals and standards set at Wisconsin. Fine. While our coaches, staff, and student athletes continue to demonstrate the work ethic and values that represent UW football, the results simply are not where any of us want them to be. Coach Fickell sees the potential in what this team can be, as do I, and he shares the same disappointment and frustration. Our student athletes continue to stand and fight with character and pride as they battle through this moment of adversity, and they deserve all of our support. That's cute. How many of these kids do you think are going to the portal?
Almost all of them. It feels like it's going to be a brand new team every year.
Yeah. There's absolutely no chance. Okay? So now he brings up the chancellor. Athletics is committed to elevating the investment into our football program to position us to compete at the highest level. As a department, we must provide our coaches the tools necessary to succeed. That means more athletic funded investments into infrastructure, staffing, and most importantly, student athlete recruiting and retention in this new era of collegiate athletics. The clear reality is that high expectations must be matched with an equal level of support. The results of this elevated support may not be immediate, but we are confident that the impact will be positive and long-term. Okay. Pretty much, you can reach the rest of the letter online on social media. It's everywhere. Pretty much what Chris McIntosh is telling you is, we ain't giving him what he needs to win. Yeah, we added 1 million different people to help with recruiting services. Yeah, we spent all this money to get him here and committed all this money to what he wanted to have done, because he did. They expanded it from what Chris had. Did all of this stuff for Fickell, and now they're like, oh no, we don't have enough to compete NIL-wise. Oh no, we don't have enough to compete recruiting-wise. Or in the portal. They don't have enough funds. Luke Fickell came out and said, what was it, last week, I think, end of last week, that he wishes that he may have or should have put into something into the deal one way or the other, about maybe he should have had guaranteed, money in there. I would like to tell you, and I'll ask you, are you buying what Chris McIntosh is trying to sell? Nicolay Law Talk and Text Line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Socials at WI Sports Radio. Stream us on YouTube as well at WI Sports Radio. Videos, shorts, streaming of the shows. Check it out, WI Sports Radio. And, of course, Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. I cannot buy into something that I don't believe is happening. I watch other universities, $50 million donation, $200 million donation, $25 million donation, $100 million donation, right? And there's money floating in from everywhere. Now, could Wisconsin be just hiding this and not making any of these public? Could that be happening? Sure, it's possible. They could be getting huge donations from all kinds of different people. Before the show, earlier this morning, we started looking at net worths, right, of famous Badger players. J.J. Watt, Joe Thomas. They don't got the kind of money to donate $50 million. They don't have that type of money. They don't. They'll wipe them either half out, 3/4 of the way out, whatever the case may be. They're not going to do that. That's crazy. You need people that run major corporations to donate the money. FedEx threw a boatload of money at Memphis because FedEx is located, their headquarters are located in Memphis. So they threw it at them to get that deal done. Mark Cuban throws money at Indiana, right? All about Cignetti. Got a chance to meet him, sat down, talked with him. All about it. Didn't you see what happened at the end of last week after he made that donation? Mm-hmm. They shut down the student newspaper, and Cuban's like, I'm not happy. Well, you already wrote the check, son. I mean, I'm glad you're not happy, but you already wrote that check. Where are they going to get all of this extra money in order to make this work? Because I don't care if it's Luke Fickell or Paul Chris or Barry Alvarez, pick. If you don't give them the tools to compete at the highest level, it's going to make their job very difficult. Having said that, Barry Alvarez was able to take guys that weren't maybe 4- and 5-star kids and coach them up to be NFL players. Brett Bielema did it at Wisconsin, doing it at Illinois. Take guys that are 3- and 4-star guys and get them to be NFL players. Paul Chris, even you could say to a degree, did the same thing. This coaching staff isn't doing it. This coaching staff isn't getting the most out of their guys. Plain and simple. Now, it could be on the kids for not working hard enough. It could be on the coaches, whatever. You could say we got spoiled to watching Badgers getting drafted in the first 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds of this draft every year, right? 5, 6, 7 guys going into the draft and getting drafted. Now you're lucky if you see anybody in the first 2 days of the draft with this damn Badger team. That's development. That's on them. That's on that coaching staff. I'm going to say what I've been telling friends and family. If they cannot compete financially with the top, I don't think they can. Then why are you spending all of this money to pay Luke Fickell like you can? Makes no sense. If you can't compete at the top, you don't need James Franklin in here. You don't need Luke Fickell in here. You don't need Nick Saban. You don't need any of those guys because ain't none of them going to win with what you have to do it with. So the next thing then becomes, okay, well, what's the option? I'll tell you what my option is. Jim Leonard, that's my option. If we're not going to compete, but I can get somebody that's been in this program, that loves this program, well, maybe loved, maybe not as much after they got rid of him, but loves this program, that makes sense to bring him back and go, dude, this is the situation. You want it or not. This is all we can do. It didn't work for Fickell. If you don't think you can coach it up, fine. Because you then become a stepping stone program, right? You kind of become Marquette, let's say, or Green Bay, or the Panthers in Milwaukee, or whatever, as far as great job, but I'm not going to win a national championship maybe, so it'll be good here, and then I'm going to have to go somewhere else to take that next step. Bruce Pearl took advantage of that job at Milwaukee and left and went to another job. Bo Ryan got to Milwaukee and got the Wisconsin job. Stepping stone. Sucks. Hate it. But that's how it is when you're in the mid-majors. The Badgers, for football, essentially become a stepping stone program for coaches, where you're never going to get anybody great. You're going to have to hope to get somebody that's up on the come up, take advantage of a couple of years. They move on. You go find somebody else. Because if you can't compete for a national championship, you're never, ever, ever getting a proven head coach to come here and coach this football team at this point. It's not happening. And we can all be upset, but if they can't do it financially, then to hell with it. Then just move on from Fickle and let's go. They say they're committed. They say they're going to get the money. What? Where from? Where y'all getting the money from? If it's that easy to get the money, then why don't you have the money already? Tommy Wirtz is in here. Over there on that side.
Yeah.
So you're in here wearing your Badgers shirt.
I am.
All of that fun stuff. So yeah. What's going on, buddy?
I just wanted to bring up a point. After I just had to use the bathroom, I used we were out of toilet paper, so I used that letter from Chris McIntosh instead.
Wow.
For that. But you bring up a point. Why is the Wisconsin basketball program not crumbling during this? I understand that it's a cheaper roster to assemble.
A lot less players.
But you're also talking about another sport that's very competitive. Kentucky, apparently reports are that they've spent upwards of $20 million on their basketball
more than the
program.
Badger football team has.
100% they have. And if you have a guy like Greg Gard, who hasn't gone anywhere, has been in this program before the NIL era and has learned to adapt to the NIL era in a major sport like college basketball that brings in actually more revenue than college football, thanks to that giant tournament they have in March. That is absolutely madness every time. But I will say this, that Luke Fickell is the Badgers, at least in the football program, are defiant on spending money right now. This is something that they recognize that they need to do, and they are either not doing a good job raising these funds, or they are straight up not doing it because they want to prove a point. Look at what they had this offseason. Instead of spending money to try to get some sort of cornerback help, they instead decided to sue every single cornerback, Xavier Lucas, Nazir Forkarine, that decided that they weren't going to be able to play and that their eligibility was going to be a problem. This is a completely mismanaged football team that is not ready to adapt to this new era of NIL. And if they can't do it to the same extent of these massive programs, explain basketball, because basketball cannot spend $22 million on their roster. They have adapted to what they have and what they can use for that money, and they are just defiant on how to do it at the football program.
Let's talk about the Badger basketball program. Greg Gard, you can say, deserves all the credit in the world, and that's fine. But realistically, the person that evolved that basketball program, because remember, people were getting ready to get rid of Greg Gard as well from a fan base, was Kirk Penny. Kirk Penny brought in a modern version of an offense that he adapted to and played with.
Sure.
Kirk Penny brought in the international scouting element. Now they are now taking advantage of as well.
Mm-hmm.
It appears that they're able to get these guys coming over from different countries cheaper than what they're going to get for the same level of player. And those players that are coming over here from another country are coming in better prepared and more ready to play at a younger age than maybe what you're getting from kids in this country as well. I think all of that plays in. And then taking advantage of the transfer portal, right? And getting a couple of those guys right. That is, I think, what happened there. From the football position, I don't think they're defiant. I mean, when you say defiant, you're like, we got a lot of money. We're just not going to spend it. There's
Correct.
no way.
I do believe that.
Why would Luke Fickell and Chris McIntosh risk getting fired and losing their jobs? What point are you proving?
Because they're making a stand. They've made a stand.
Shaka Smart doesn't use the transfer portal.
Yes.
But he said that he's defiant. These two guys aren't taking a stand to lose their jobs because that's what's going to happen.
Because why come they haven't grabbed a 4-star prospect in over 4 years out of the state of Wisconsin. They have not landed the top prospect in the state of Wisconsin to the exact same time frame as well. This is a football team that if you want to be a competitive program, and I know they have not had their starting quarterback for a full season over the last 3 years, there's no way they are throwing out starting quarterback money to actually be realistic to go into this transfer portal. So then if you can't and you are not able to, go out and recruit, find someone who you can get at a cheaper price. I'm not asking this place to bring in Carson Beck for a $2 million price
tag. Now you're talking about developing.
Yes.
They don't
Yes.
develop.
Which is also a problem.
That
is
is big
also
issue.
a problem.
They don't develop.
I don't know if that's the biggest issue because they will be forever reliant on the developing then. And they already have, I mean, can you believe we are talking about this Badgers offense as being worse with Jeff Grimes than it was with Phil Longo? Everyone wanted Longo out. The guy couldn't get it to work in Wisconsin. The bar you had, Jeff Grimes, was at like sea level. All you needed to do was just be a little bit better, a little bit more, and he cannot do it. Then you're throwing guys out there against Ohio State that are getting injured every single play. They are not ready to play with these guys, let alone pay these guys. Like you're saying, they cannot develop. People are unhealthy playing against Ohio State. They lost their quarterback in that game. They lose a running back. They have a guy coming and playing with a broken freaking arm during that game, and Christian Allegro, because they couldn't play a backup who had more working arms than a starting linebacker in that game. This is a problem that is actually causing more harm to these student athletes, that they are risking injury every time, but they are really risking it more because they can't even play at the same level of these guys if they're going to be in this conference, and this conference is going to separate first before any other conference does leave, because they are the first conference to have an offer from a private equity firm for $2 billion.
Correct.
And they are going to be left behind if they do not change. They will be left behind because you know what that's going to happen? That Big Ten deal, it's going to come by and it's going to say, do we really want Northwestern a part of this? Do we really want Northwestern sharing some of that profit? Well, Purdue at least has basketball. At least Purdue has something to offer. Yes,
that's true.
There is going to be a problem when you have to decide on whether or not you want to bring Wisconsin in, whether you want to bring Rutgers in. If you want to bring in these programs that are not taking it seriously, they will be left behind. And if you think they're poor now, wait for that to happen.
Okay, we got all kinds of text messages coming in as well on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. Phone lines lighting up to 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Socials at WI Sports Radio. Stream us there as well. From the 715, those problems that you guys are talking about started their demise under Barry Alvarez. As AD, he didn't put revenue improvements into his money-making program, football.
Yes.
10 years behind then and still hasn't caught up. That's on Barry and now Chris. His poor leadership versus the big programs that they now have to compete against.
Well, and here's another.
More leaders and legends should have been selling alcohol and having concerts before COVID, and most definitely right after things open back up. Plus, since 1991, this is a huge
Love
text.
this guy. Go
Plus,
off,
since
King.
1991, and now currently we have not to fund a men's baseball program. Out of the 18 schools, we're the only one in the Big Ten that doesn't have a men's program, but yet we are strapped for revenue. Question mark from the 715.
Yes, 100%. Just 100. Just nailed it the entire time. That is another major sport that they are not paying for. And like he said, 17 teams in the Big Ten have a baseball program, the 18th being the University of Wisconsin. And also another point to bring up with this, now next year when they will have a budget for $20.5 million to actually take from their revenue to invest in their athletic department, this team needs to throw $15+ million at their football roster. And that's just to try to fix it overnight. If they want to continue to do this, they're going to have to do this every single year. And now what do we want to do? We want to wait to get to that point for this program to see if they do spend this money. Ohio State already has it planned, I'm sure, for next year. They know where that revenue money is going to go into this player's roster, because you're going to have to not only bring in new guys, but you have to retain now. Recruiting does not stop.
Wow, this whole roster is going to the portal. So,
I mean, are you sad?
No, I'm not sad.
Get
I'm
all these guys who stink off the team.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that,
that's
Charles.
what's going to happen.
I mean, come on.
It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie Houston over there. That's Tommy Wirtz. You can hear him on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thornell, brought to you by Verizon. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up. He's on every day from 5 until 6, doing that show as well here on the network. Normally, we move off of this topic, but we got a bunch of people reacting to this, so we'll stay here with the Badgers. Are you buying what Chris McIntosh is trying to sell? We'll discuss that straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
No, I don't think any of us have a crystal ball. I've never asked the question. It's not something that I can dwell upon. It's not something that I can't tell you that it's not something that you don't think about. I'm not saying it's something when you go home, your wife doesn't look at you, but it doesn't do us any good, right? It doesn't. It's not going to change the fact that we got to practice tomorrow. It's not going to change the fact of anything on Saturday. I guess you just let everybody else kind of deal with those things. But I have not been told. I'm not worried about that. I mean, I understand, if we don't meet expectations and we don't do the things we need to do, anything can happen.
Anything can happen, including Luke Fickell getting fired. That was Luke Fickell. That was earlier today, correct, Charlie?
That was earlier today. Yes.
Yeah. He shouldn't be thinking about getting fired, obviously, at this point, if you're going to do the best job that you can, right? I mean, if we're being realistic, you can't be thinking about that. Because if you're thinking about that. What do you mean, why?
Why can't he think? He should have a fire under his butt strong right now.
Has to.
His seat is so hot. I don't care if it's at the end of the year or not. You are fighting to stay competitive for other jobs as well without Wisconsin. He ain't going anywhere bigger than this after this.
Nobody wants him to be an offensive coordinator at this point, right?
Oh my gosh.
He's not an offensive guy.
Defensive coordinator, whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah, no, he's not that guy. Are you buying what Chris McIntosh is trying to sell? He's selling that Fickell is good, everything is fine. We just need to invest more money, and our chancellor is committed to making sure we can bring more money in to do just that. Let's go to Roby on the Nicolay Law Talk text line 414-677-1250. Roby's calling from the west side of Milwaukee. What's up, Roby?
Man, first of all, I got to give y'all flowers. Y'all do not only cover great wins and Packers and all of that, but when you start touching on Badgers and concerns for sports, I love it. Good. I love that y'all cover a wide range of topics. I love it. I love it. I love it. This topic right here, man, can we stop fickling around with this topic?
Yeah, you
can.
Can we stop fickling around? I went to the game and I think there's two. Yeah, right. I think there's two major things that has to be concerned. And first of all, I'm going to first sympathize for Fickell because I don't know what resources they give him when it comes to recruiting. Because you can't, if you want to play against the athlete, we got to bring the athlete in. So there's some restrictions there. I think. I don't know. I'm only going off of what But right now, there's no identity to this team.
Correct.
We don't. I've talked to Ohio State players and not players, but parents and stuff, and they're like, we don't even know who's on the team. Are we a running team? Are we a passing team? So for me, I feel like if you can't take care of home, there's no way we're going to ever be able to compete. I get this NIL, there's money and all of this concern, but guess what? We got a rich history. Wisconsin, you look up there, we bought out the Rose Bowl champions and we got blew out like that. I mean, for me as a product, I just feel, again, I've played ball, high school, college, semi-pro, and my son was an athlete in WIAA. And Fickell, I went to the Badger camps. They don't go after the athlete. And I don't know if it has to do with academics. I don't know what it has to do with, but if we're going to compete against these teams, they got guys running 4.3, you got to go get a guy that's 4.3. And I'm sorry if he's a 2.4 grade point average, but if he's groomed it in a great high school, there's something that you have to be able to do. All of our specialty roles, receivers, running backs, DBs are all playing outside of Wisconsin, Central Michigan, Ohio, Notre Dame, North Dakota State, Indiana State. You think about look at the recruits. I Googled how many recruits has Fickell had over the last, since he's took over role. I don't know if I got the right data, but it was 6 recruits from Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Roby, he does terrible. He's terrible at recruiting in the state.
I don't know if he's terrible or if he chooses not to recruit in the state. Thanks for the call. Go ahead, Roby. Yeah. What?
No, I was going to say, I don't want to say, I can't fault him and say he's terrible because, again, given the hand he's dealt, again, I am a coach. I'm not going to announce the school on here. I coach high school sports, and giving, okay, I have to recruit. There's a responsibility in my role. But if the school itself is not imageable, how can I recruit that? Let's talk about it. Deion Sanders. You mean to tell me Wisconsin ain't got more money than Colorado? Come on, man.
Yeah.
So the NIL doesn't matter. If you get a coach in here that these kids think that it's going to help their dreams in play, by all means, they're going to play for you. And on top of that, Wisconsin, we should be able to get every running back in the nation to come to this program, because we got a guy playing in Indianapolis right now, Colts.
Yep, Jonathan Taylor.
Come on now, man.
No, I hear you. I'm with you. But it wasn't under this coach, though. Remember that. Thanks for the call, Roby. Wasn't under Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell's not putting running backs into the league.
No, he's not. He's not putting anyone into the league. They're first team all water boys on the all pro list if you go and play at Wisconsin right now. Here's something that Roby brought up as a good point with the resources. And I don't know the resources, but here's a problem. Chris McIntosh should have a bigger say in this, and they should understand the investment that a good football program does, not just for your football program, but for your university. And that's why the chancellor should also realize that as well. You're talking about, let's go back just a few years, TCU. When TCU made the run to the national championship game, they get boat raced by Georgia. They weren't even competitive in that game, correct? They had an increase over 3% in enrollment at that school just because of that season alone. When you start to see enrollment numbers decrease at Wisconsin, not to the point of where they're not getting applications or anything along those lines.
Yeah, they turn down kids on a regular basis.
But I'm talking about when you will see less applicants, less people applying to your university because of the lack of competitive nature in your football program. That's when flags will be raised. That's when it will happen. Here's another one here, Sparky, for you.
Hold on a second. That's all hogwash.
No.
It's hogwash because
it's not.
Yes, it is. Hold on a second. It's hogwash because TCU is in a state with all these other D1 programs.
Yes.
Wisconsin is the only D1 program in the state of Wisconsin for
Correct.
kids in the state to go to. It's not going to matter.
In this state, that's a great point. You brought that up because
Thank
that's
you.
where my segue was going to go here. Alabama, the football program relies so much, only 41%.
No. Not football program. I'm talking about you're talking about student applications to go to the university being up 3%.
Yes.
That's what you said.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I don't care what this football program looks like. These kids all want to go to Madison.
The number was 22% in 2002. That was the amount of out-of-state people at the University of Alabama that were applying and going to being a part of that university. 22% in 2002. That's before Saban gets there, correct? Now, 41% of the students in 2023 were from Alabama. 41%. That is it. This is a program that gets so much money for their university alone because of this. This is out-of-state tuition. These are people who are from places with money, that are from places of good upbringing here.
Grew up in Madison, and she's going to Alabama right now.
Yes, there you go. Good point. Because she wants to see a competitive football program. She wants to be a part of that.
Warmer.
Yes. Okay. Great. You know what else? You can add this. This is out-of-state tuition that will triple the cost of what it actually costs to go to a university. It's cheaper if you're from Milwaukee, if you're from Cudahy, and you find your way into the University of Wisconsin. That is the cheapest place with the highest prestige that you will be able to go. They shouldn't be worried about that. They're not worried about that. They want more international out-of-state tuitions coming into this place. That will take a significant hit if your program is not competitive like it is right now. And like you brought up, not competitive is the key word. It's not that just that they are losing these games. They are getting destroyed in these games. This is a laughing stock of the Big Ten right now. That is the problem with this university.
There was a great tweet earlier today. Well said, by the way, Tommy. Bill Redjewski, I think is how you say it, college football data, CFB_data. And he puts up the past 15 years of Wisconsin football resembles a pattern from 1950 to 1965.
Oh, Sparky
Last time it took a good 20 plus years and the hiring of an up and coming coach by the name of Barry Alvarez to dig them out of it. And it's a graph chart. And if you look at it, really, the highest point of this program was under Brett Bielema.
Yeah.
That's where it was. And since Paul Chryst got fired in 2022, it was already on the decline under Paul Chryst. And it's still on the decline at this point as he's gotten worse every year.
And this is another thing that I brought up last week on Wisconsin Wrap Up from 5 to 6 immediately following this show, is that actually firing Luke Fickell and paying a guy. I'm actually really what I would love to see about this is how Indiana will fare after this take here, because they just gave Cignetti $11 million, right?
He's really good.
Well, here's the other thing. Do you know what's another up-and-coming football program that did a fantastic job turning their program overnight is Texas Tech. I know they just lost this week, and so it might not look at that right now. Joey McGuire, their head coach, $4.5 million is his salary. Okay. That's way less than Luke Fickell right now, who's approaching $8 million on his. They decided to find an up and coming coach. They tried to, up and coming at $4.5 million. He's a little established for sure.
Say yes.
But the goal was not to find the best head coach, because you can spend money elsewhere in the roster if you are paying your head coach less money. Joey McGuire is making $4.5 million. That is the 51st highest paid coach in the country between football and for basketball. You combine both of those.
He's going to get a raise.
He will
be making like Fickell.
But if you want to have your resources in a correct place and you want to allocate those resources in a more strategic manner, like the University of Wisconsin is, it is not going out and paying the head coach the most money possible.
Jim Leonard.
Yeah, well, or
that's what we're back to.
I think it's going to be Jason Eck.
Okay, Jason Eck. Whatever.
Yes.
But it's not going to be some guy where you're going to spend a boatload of money if you don't think you can compete as is because of finance.
Correct. It's actually going to be something that places like the University of Wisconsin are going to have to do. Is you're going to have to continue to resurface head coaches and pay them less money than you would anywhere else. But again, Roby brought up a great point on you can't even recruit guys that are at powerful universities like a North Dakota State, a South Dakota State, to give them that higher opportunity to play some FBS football as opposed to FCS football too. You got to recruit in different ways that they are not doing productively right now.
Got another one here from Ben in Wausau. Ben, of course, listening on 93.9 The Game in Wausau to the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Is there a problem with the talent in the state in football or something? I don't understand why UW doesn't keep their own in-state talent.
No, it's not a problem with the talent in the state. It's a problem in recruiting that talent in the state. You know who did a great job recruiting Wisconsin? Former head coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions, James Franklin, would steal every top recruit. Notre Dame.
Look at Hintzman. He's at Ohio State.
Notre Dame took the top 2 recruits in the 2024 class as well. 2025, I think, actually, now the year messing it up. But I will say this, that you cannot tell me there is not some talent in this state, while Notre Dame's kicker is absolutely drilling it now over there. And he was a Wisconsin kid around the Milwaukee area as well. They haven't brought in any sort of lineman recruit that gets you any sort of excitement. This place breeds offensive linemen in towns you've never heard of all over the place. And I miss when my quarterbacks went to Whitnall High School like Joel Stave did, and it didn't matter who went there as your high school because the rest of the roster around it was built to be tough. This team is not tough anymore. It is soft right now, and you are recruiting not only the wrong guys in the talent department, but in the character department for the University of Wisconsin.
Another one from the 715. Lance Leipold should have been the hire by McIntosh, born and bred Wisconsin. It's not happening.
No, he's too big now.
Lance Leipold is, I think they've got better NIL money at Kansas, I'm almost positive, than they do
because they invested in their basketball department to bring in this money too.
Well, they also got enough money invested. They redid that football stadium too. That's how much money they got coming in.
Yes.
He's got a bunch of money, and he is going to be the Barry Alvarez of Kansas. That is what Lance Leipold is doing. So that ship has absolutely sailed. Take a quick time out, come back, continue on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Hey, if you love Wendy's classic chocolate vanilla frosty flavors, there's some big news. They're all new Frosty Swirls and now Frosty Fusions. It's the same creamy treat you've always loved. Now they flavor refresh. So what are these new flavors? Okay, well, we got the Frosty Swirls, strawberry, brownie, batter, and caramel, and the Frosty Fusions, Oreo brownie, caramel crunch, piece of toffee, and Pop-Tart strawberry. So clock in for sweet treat time with Wendy's all new Frosty flavors, a refresh on a classic. It's gotta be Wendy's. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky here. Charlie User on the other side of the glass. Tommy Wirtz has been hanging out talking Badgers. He just came into the studio and said, I'm talking Badgers. Normally we do Charlie Sounds today this hour. We're going to push it back to 420, and we'll do it there. Let's head back to the Nicolay Law Fan Talk text line. Are you buying what Chris McIntosh is trying to sell? Meaning it's not on Fickle. It's on the fact that they don't have any money or as much money to put at this like other programs do, and that's something that they have to figure out and fix. Let's go to Brian and McGuanago. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talking text line. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Brian?
Hey, Sparky, man. It's great to be on the show. I just want to say one thing. When it comes to local sports, man, nobody's got the passion you do, brother.
Thank you.
Nobody. You beat everybody. My comment is, my cousin went to the University of Wisconsin in the journalism school, and I remember coming up to visit one weekend before I moved here, and that was when there was only originally 6 or 8 bowl games. And you really had to be the top dog. And that's when always Michigan, Ohio State, the Texases were always in the bowl games. So it was an afterthought for the Badgers. But back in those days, in the Dave McClain era and before then, the Badgers never really even scored. It was a victory if they scored. And I remember one time being at I believe it was a UCLA game, kind of like, I think it was a non-conference game maybe. This is over 40 years ago. And the Badgers are down 48-0. To this day, remember, the Badgers calling a timeout with 2 or 3 seconds to go just so they could try a 40-some-yard field goal, and they hit it. And everybody stormed the field,
Yep.
and it was nuts in Madison all weekend because they scored. It was the afterthought of ever trying to win anything. You weren't going to no bowl game in Wisconsin.
Correct.
And I feel like I'm reliving that now with Fickle.
Well, that's where it is. But before the season, everybody should have expected them not to go to a bowl game. Once you saw the schedule, you know what's coming back from last year. You don't know the portal quarterback, but obviously he wasn't all that great at Maryland the previous year. And Billy Edwards, who, again, we haven't really seen because he can't stay healthy either. James, south side of Milwaukee, you're next here on the Nicolay Law Talking text line, Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky, Fifer, and Tommy Wirtz. What's up, James?
Well, Sparky, you should go up to Madison and have a protest because I think you got the biggest mouth, you got the biggest following here throughout the state and go protest at Madison there at the whole darn thing. Get the students, get the whole darn thing here until they can kick some darn sense into McIntosh and the whole darn bunch of people there, man.
James, I don't think it would take much to get a protest going if the students themselves wanted to organize the protest. Thanks for the call. And you want to know the easiest way to organize a protest if you are the students? Don't show up. Y'all just don't show up.
They're already doing a great job of that, too.
Correct.
They're not showing jump
Not
around
too
on
hard,
TV
Correct.
anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was like half full, the one shot that I saw on TV of that game. So, I mean, that's how you show that you're mad. Just don't show up. You don't want us to boo Barry? No problem. We aren't going. We'll stay and we'll party in our houses where we are, and we're not going anymore.
Yep.
I mean, that's how you protest. Badger fans, you don't like it. Alumni, you don't like it. Quit showing up at the games. Quit buying concession stands. Don't show up. Let them show a half-empty Cap Randall. You want to get the message to the chancellor that you're mad and you've had enough of all of this stuff? That's how you get the message across. That's how you get the message across.
This is proof that people care too. You just spent an hour talking Badgers on here that you never would have thought you would have done.
No.
So
and hopefully I don't
fix it.
When we did the meeting, he said, I don't even want to talk Badgers.
I get it. No. Hey, you can win big this October at Potawatomi. Play the Bird Bash Game Show for $50,000 in cash. Just play with your Potawatomi rewards card for entries. Prize drawing on Thursdays. Plus, your play also earns you a shot at the $300,000 December season finale. It's a Bird Bash only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. For more details, visit paysbig.com/Bird Bash. Up next, Green and Gold Update Time, brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, like we just talked about. Matt LaFleur talked earlier this hour. We'll hear some clips from him. Coming up next, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.